knew I would be back. I've been going for 6 years now. I find Peggy, our president, to be both dedicated and organized, and she's a really fantastic lady to do. And under her direction, I've sat back and watched as the group has grown as writers, myself included, especially myself. Even though our book is not perfect, it's a really great example of how we've evolved as a group. Well, I wondered what I could say about the whole idea of joining the group, other than, oh, you really got to belong to one, or, oh, it's so important. So I'd like to talk about our group and what they've meant to me over the years. Many of our members have already published books, 1, 2, 3, and these are regular people, you know, like you or me, or it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor, it could be a cashier at the local grocery store. And that gave me the hope that I could get mine published too. And they're a wealth of knowledge, and we pass it on freely through the group. They talk about it, and we pass information to each other many different times. We implement several learning techniques. Some of them are more fun than others. Our 300 to 500 word essays are a lot of fun. We draw 2 random words out of a bag, and over the 2 weeks until the next meeting, we write a story on them. And it is amazing how many different variations we come up with. I can't say that they're always fun, because I know sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'm pounding away on the keyboard, and by pounding away, I mean plink, 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 plink. I look down and the word count's at like 650, and I haven't even reached my conclusion yet. Then comes editing. Editing is not so much fun. Taking out words and sentences that you really were proud of, and you're saying, oh man, then I gotta scratch it. But by editing, we've learned to write in an active rather than a passive voice. We do learning modules where one of the group will take some aspect of writing and research it, come back in and do a mini workshop on it. And then at the end of that, we usually have a writing exercise. Thank goodness I have one coming up on semicolons and apostrophes, commas, and all them good little squigglies, which I have a lot to learn about there. Critiquing is another function that we perform for each other. And if you don't have tough skin, it can hurt a little bit. But if you're getting ready to hand in a manuscript to a publishing company, it's better to know the faults now than later. As a general rule, we try to be more positive in our feedback and stress the good points, because it gives us more inspiration to keep going with our stories. As far as finding a group in your area, I asked the members of our group how they heard about the WTP. For me, it was Randy, so it was word of mouth. But then there are other places where writers and our different artisans meet, like the Cadillac Art Fair, for example. Some of them had put up flyers in a bookstore and asked where they could find a writers group. And then there was a site that I have not gone on yet. It's on Facebook. It's called Michigan Writers, Poets, and Authors. You can post your desires there. There's lots of people that write. Some of our members drive quite a distance, but if traveling isn't an option, and there isn't a writers group close by, think about starting your own. Most writers already know at least one other person who loves to string together words to make sentences. Let these people know what you have in mind. 1 and 1 makes 2, then you get a 3rd, and then you get a 4th. Some of the writers groups don't have any more than 4 people, and they do quite well on their own. We have about 18, and sometimes it gets kind of confusing, but there's really not one particular time that we're all there, so it's not so bad. Anyways, I just want to tell you, just write. Don't quit writing, and don't look at writing as work. Look at it as fun, and when you do it as a group, it's just that. It's fun. And with that, I'll turn the microphone over to Yvonne, another one of our respected and valued members.
Oh,
She said she's gonna get there.
I know I heard. I was just confused what was going
Yeah.
on.
Thank you, Will.
You're welcome, dear.
Just wanted to push the top back.
Good job. Good job. Mine, it's good, you did good.
I have a slightly different attitude toward writers. I think they're fantastic. And I don't think there's anything ordinary about some person that likes to write. I fell in love with writers when I was about 5 years old and learned to read. And it's been a love affair ever since. So I'm really thrilled to be here among all of you. I have 7 books published at this point in time. It's a real learning process, let me tell you. In your book, the one with the blue cover here, I just want to go through as much as I can with you, tell you some of the pitfalls, tell you some of the things you need to look out for, take notes. There is a book, a very expensive book, but you can get it at the library, or any library actually. Oh, makes a difference where I stand, just keep this thing. It's called the Chicago Manual of Style, and it is the Bible for how to write a professional book. It's like 1,000 pages long, but it tells you what goes in on every page, how to use dialogue as opposed to quotations, where you start a chapter, where you start a new topic. Everything is in that book. You sometimes have to hunt for it, but it's there. Now and it's a backup that you really need if you want to turn out a professional piece of work, all right? But going to create space to publish your book. You just go on createspace.com and it'll pop up, and it's like the first page that you're looking at here, and it will say, what do you want, and you want to log in, and it won't let you log in unless you've signed in, unless you've registered. So if you try to log in, if you try to get in before, it'll take you to this page again. If you want to just look it over, you want to start a title for free, it'll still send you back. You won't be able to get in to look at a title, look at the innards of the correct space until you sign up and give them a password. So on the next page, that's the page that you're going to get if you try to log in without registering. So they want your email address and they want your password. And once you've got that, they assign you a number. And every time you talk to them or do anything, those numbers, they want to talk to you, they want your ID number. So, and it's always right at the top of the page. Once you've registered, then they want to know the name of your project. And they want to know if it's paperback. They want to know if you want a guided setup process, or if you're an expert and you just want to do it. Now, the truth is that they're both the same. The difference is that the experienced one is on a single long sheet that just keeps scrolling up, and you can just fill it in as you go. The guided one is every few bits is on a different page, and there's a lot of little notes along the way that tells you how to get more information to do that particular effort. Such as this very first one, refine your work. It says ask the community. You can join a community of writers on CreateSpace that answers questions for you. Create a preview. And I put one in here so that you'd see what they were talking about. But the community will tell you what they think of the preview that you've written about your book. And it's a good thing to get started on that right away, because you'll have a lot of information from them, from other writers who have nothing to gain by telling you what they think, you know. And it's an advertising ploy that you're going to need to use as soon as your book comes out. So it's a nice thing to start working on. Those times when you just can't think of the next thing that you should be doing, start working on your preview, start working on the advertising that you're going to want to go on. So your next page is, got to turn it a little bit here. As soon as you put in your title over here, where they ask the name of your project, I just wrote down the bears. Now, I'm not planning on writing a book about the bears, but that's what I put in so I could get these pages to copy. It's immediately given a title number, and you can get information about where that particular book is by referencing that title ID number. All of these are items in dark, in bold, are going to be at the side of your page all the way through your work with CreateSpace. But only one will show up in a different highlighted color or what would you call it? Oh, well, it'll show up differently. If you're working it on your setup, those 5 items will be the only ones that will come up, will show up. But the words in bold will always be there. And if you're working on someplace else, but you wonder what's coming, or you wonder if you should have done something else earlier, you can go to that bold, hit it, and all of these will come up again. So that you have access to the whole thing, to the marketing services, to the pricing, all of this kind of information. It's all there for you anytime you're working on your book. You just have to go to the site, and we'll see it again. As you go through your book, this project summary, you can go back to that anytime and see where you're at. The icon legend there, this is what shows up on your dashboard, and we're going to look at a dashboard in a few minutes. But once you've put in your title, then it'll come up on your dashboard, and it will tell you something like incomplete. If you send it to them for some kind of review, then it's going to be action required, or it's in process, or it's been shipped. Oh, they've got skipped. Interesting. They're even making typos. So the bottom item there in the icon legend says skipped. It should be shipped. So you know, typos are just.
It should be shipped.
Yeah, it should be shipped. Typos are something else. You can look at a word, and if you've looked at that word a lot, you miss the middle of the word sometimes. Anytime you look at anything that's written, you can find a typo in it somewhere. So don't get upset about typos. Okay, let's see.
Is this a free service?
It's absolutely free.
How wonderful.
The whole thing is free.
Okay.
There's an incredible amount of support and help that they give you. they have their ways of making money, okay? But the service of getting your book away from you, and to get it published in it, they're willing to do it for free, because they're gonna make money on it later, okay? So your next page is the title information. And as you see here on the side, on your left side, there's all those words that we looked at a minute ago, but they're only showing the part that you're doing for the setup, because that's where you are. And title information is what's highlighted there. So you know that when you're working on this page, what you're working on is the title information. In other places, something else will come up. Now, there's just a couple things on here that I would tell you to be careful about. You put your title in and your subtitle if you have one, and put your name in there, and then it says add contributors. Now, that's not just the name of anyone who is giving you information on your book. If somebody has collaborated with you on it right through, and you've promised to, their name's gonna be on it too or something, that's the name of the person that you would put there, not just people who have given you information. You want people who have significantly collaborated. And you need to be careful, because if their name's on there, they may want to share royalties with you. And you just told Create Space that they have a right to it. So be careful whose name you put in there, if anybody. I never put anybody's name in there, for obvious reasons. The edition number is for significant changes, not just for a change in wording somewhere, or correcting typos or something. That's not an addition, that's a revision, and it just kind of goes along. And then to have down here helpful tips and ideas, how to write an effective book description, different things of it. Can your book title affect the way you write? Yes, it can. It'll keep you kind of thinking along the line. So your book title is extremely important. And you may change it a dozen times while you're writing, because you do want to, as your ideas flow and you get different thoughts and all. And you can change your title as often as you want to until you put in an ISBN number. And that's the next page. And you see on the setup there, the ISBN is now highlighted. And it's giving you 3 choices. You can choose an ISBN number from Create Space. You can buy your own from someplace. You can use a custom imprint. But the thing to know is that your book is being published with Create Space, and they'll distribute it to everybody but libraries. If you buy it from anybody else, if you use your own ISBN number, they will not distribute it to libraries. So you want to keep that in mind. The ISBN number through Create Space is free. You can also buy them from Bowker. Now there's something else about Bowker that you really should know. They have an incredibly helpful online writers information network. And you can get to it by, the initials are SPA at Bowker.com. And it is the newsletter that comes out is called the Self-Published Author. And it is immensely helpful. And as well, they have all kinds of supports and ideas and references and so on. Just incredible amount of helpful work there. Once you have chosen an ISBN option, once you've asked them to give you an ISB option, and down below underneath where it says contact support. I pasted that in. That's an example of an ISBN number. That's what they look like, and you're gonna get the two of them. And it tells you there, you can't make changes to the information. You can't change your title, and that's not true. You can, and I'm gonna tell you how. So, you know, but you wanna hesitate to get that ISBN number until you're pretty sure you're pretty well along. That you're really pretty sure of your title. On the next page, you have a member dashboard, and I've given you mine, a copy of mine, because there are things on it that I want to point out to you. Up at the left-hand corner, about midway up, just above APR units, it says sort by, and then it says show subtitles and volume numbers. The number isn't there. If you check that, all at once, under every one of your titles will come up any subtitle that you have connected to it. If you'll notice, I have two books there with the same name, Rethinking Forgiveness. One is strictly psychology, and the other one has spiritual influences, Christian attitudes toward things, forgiveness. Well, that will show up if you hit show subtitles. It doesn't show up if you just leave it like it is. The other thing I want you to notice is that the very first one says the Gateway Volume 2, attention required. That means that I have sent it for a review, or I have asked for help from them in some way. I have completed the cover, and that's been sitting there like that for 2 years, and they haven't said a word, okay? The very last one is Pandora. That's incomplete. Well, that's been sitting there for 3 years, and they haven't said a word. Now, the thing to know is that that's a reality. Once you've got it, once you've got the title and you've got the number on it, they put it on your dashboard, they don't care about it. You can do anything you want. It can sit there for, like I say, years, and they're not gonna bother you about it. And what I have found is that on a couple of occasions, I have wanted to change my title, and I had my ISBN number already, and I was stuck. And I did find one way. I found a lady who was very helpful to me in changing the title, but then I realized I could do it myself. All I have to do is trash it and start it again with my new title. And they don't care. They give you another ISBN number, give them another title, they'll give you another ISBN number, okay? So that's what you can do. So don't get hysterical about it when they say you can't change your title, everything's set in concrete and so on. There's a lot of this where it says you can't do this and you can't do that, but you can, you just have to think about it a little bit.
How did you trash it?
See, right, if you look at the gateway, go all the way across, April royalties, order copies, and there's a little trash bin there. And anytime you want to trash a book, you just hit the trash bin. It's gone, wiped out forever, okay?
So don't push it, huh?
Pardon? Don't push it if you want to keep the book. If you want to sell them, don't push it. This is just for your benefit. No one else can see your dashboard, okay? That's your dashboard to work with. And it will tell you how many books I've sold for you in that month. It'll tell you what, you've got a link down here for royalty reports, which we'll look at further in the book. It'll tell you how many units have sold total from all your books for the month. Now, if you're gonna, if you do trash here, be sure you've got your book saved in your computer. You're not trashing your book because you've trashed it here, okay? So if you go down below, now we're really into it, okay? And here you see, this is the interior. Can you folks hear me without the mic? Not as well, okay. Let me know if I start talking with my hands. Okay. On this setup, now you're in the interior, and what they want you to do is pick an interior type. Do you want black and white, or do you want full color type? Do you want your page color to be white or cream? Okay. You want black and white type, and you want a white page color. Cream doesn't show up as well. It's nice, and there will be books that will take it, but if you're doing a manuscript type book, or a book with pictures in it, white's gonna show up a lot better than cream. And full color type is gonna be a fortune, so you don't wanna do that. 6x9 is the size, but they have like 50 different sizes of books that you can get, that they will make them in those sizes. And I did not copy those pages. This is the way, this is what they recommend, and as you can see from the books back there, they come out pretty nicely. Another thing that you need to know is that you can put a picture on every page if you want to. Used to be you could only get 6, but in the last couple of years they've changed it, and you can have black and white pictures on every single page, and it doesn't cost any more. There's no limit. They just consider it part of the page. Well, this is the interior, and now you've got some serious choices to make. If you'll notice on the side here, it says how to make a cover PDF and how to make an interior PDF. I'm letting the cover go for right now because I want to talk to you very seriously about how to make an interior PDF or an interior of your book. There's some things that you really have to think about. There's a hard way to do books, there's an easier way to do books, and there's a real easy way to do books. And typing the book on your computer and getting it all done, and then trying to fit it into their template is got to be the hardest thing. It's a whole other ball game. You wind up having to work every line in your copy to be sure it fits. You go through the whole book all over again. And that's, once you've done it, it'll stop you right there when you realize that you have tried to do they give you if you want to set it up yourself, they give you all the margins that you have to have and all this kind of thing. But it's really a bear to keep up with. They'll also give you a formatted template. And where they give you a title page. Where did I put that? Have it down here. When you, if you pick, down here it says download a Word template. Start with a blank template or a formatted template. You see that?
Page 9.
7.
Seven.
Thank you.
I'm slow.
No worries.
The formatted template has a format for you for the entire book, and it's very specific. They give you a specific number of pages for the front section. You open the cover, and it's a page with a book title with your author's name, and on the back goes your ISBN number and your copyright information and so on. Then it gives you 1 page for a dedication, 1 page for contents, 1 page for acknowledgments, and you're into chapter 1. Fine, you've got 1 page for each of these items. The front of your book is your selling place, okay? You can't talk about your book with only that many items. It doesn't follow the guidelines for a professional book, okay? You need to go to just the blank template, which puts your margins, and you can stay in that, and then you can follow the professionally recognized front section. As soon as a person opens the cover of your book, they know if you're a professional or an amateur, okay? Because the amateur is going to put their title, and then they're going to put their name down at the bottom, and maybe a date. You know, they don't understand. In a professional book, the first page, as you open the book up, all it has on it is the book title. That's all. You're not going to get that with this formatted one, because that's going to have your name on it too, and people are going to know that this is an amateur effort. The second page has the book title with the author's name, and on the back, the ISBN number and the date and so on. The next page is the dedication. The next page is a picture, artwork, symbol of something if you want to put that in there. You don't have to. The next page is content, your list of contents. Then you have a list of illustrations and a list of tables if you have them in your book, if you have illustrations and tables. And those are separate pages, but it is permissible to put the list of illustration on the facing page and the tables on the reverse. And that's something that you need to know also as we're going along here. Every new thing that you do has to start on the page of the book that's facing you, on the right-hand page. Every new chapter starts on the right-hand page, and it should, the chapter, the name chapter, or whatever you're calling your chapter, that should be about 1/3 of the way down the page. And if your space is below that, your chapter starts, or your dedication start, or your acknowledgments or whatever, that's where they start. They don't start up at the top of the page, okay? Presentation is everything to make people want to read something. And to have it a little air or space, whatever you want to call it, in there is critical to having it look really pleasant and a draw to people to read, so that they recognize that this is going to be interesting or pleasant at least. But after you've got your list of tables, then you put your foreword in. And your next section is a preface. And then acknowledgments. And then you go to chapter 1, which is, again, on your facing page. The reverse of the page is a continuation of whatever you've started on that first page. That's the way a professional book is laid out. That is clearly written out in your Chicago Manual style, and you can find it there easily. The one benefit of using the formatted template is that the page numbers are in it for you, okay? They have they have the Roman numeral on one or two of them, and they have the Arabic numbering in the chapters, which is the way books are set up, okay? Is this, am I making sense to you? Are you following me okay? Okay. The next thing that you really, and this is maybe a strange time to think about this, but you're about to start writing your book and you need to think then, is it possible that I'm going to want to make this an ebook? Do I think I'm going to want to make an ebook out of this? Put it on Kindle or someplace. If you do, don't hyphenate anything. Absolutely do not hyphenate. Any place in your book, do not hyphenate. Because
You mean to break up words,
to break up a word,
but
don't,
not using a dash within a sentence?
no, just
Just
don't
the hyphenation
hyphenate
of
words.
words.
Because if it's a couple words that hyphenate between them,
Yeah,
that's okay.
right,
Because if it hits the end of a line, it's gonna cut it right there.
yeah.
And it could be anywhere. You'll have half your word on this line, half your word on that line, this kind of stuff, and it gets really messy. And you don't see it, you know. The other thing you need to do is embed your type. When you do a PDF, when you change your template over to a PDF, because you're doing it in a document form, and then you're going to save it as a PDF to send to CreateSpace. They only accept PDFs. So you're typing it as a document so that you can change it and do what you want. And then you're gonna change it to a PDF to send it. When you do that, if your type is not embedded, it can change the type. It can change the spacing. It can do all kinds of stuff to you. So, embedding, I have the exact, okay, well, it was on the next page, and I was going to tell you about it.
I have one question before we go on to the next page. When you said that if you have your manuscript already typed like in a Word document, putting it into CreateSpace, you said that's very difficult
No, you have to
Okay.
turn it into a PDF.
first, and then you can put it in, but you don't have to retype everything. You don't have to retype it all into CreateSpace.
You don't have to if you've done it, if you've typed it right to start with into their template.
Okay, but if you haven't, if you've just done it on a Word on Word,
Then you're gonna have to put it into their template
okay,
and it'll change. And you're gonna have to go through it line by line to be sure that it is where you want it to be.
okay.
Because, you know, there's only so many inches that you can do it in, and probability is that you haven't, your lines are gonna be too long, and it's gonna start abbreviating them and changing them and moving them around so that they'll fit in the template. And it may not look the way you want it to look. So you need to go through every line, and you're gonna just have to bite the bullet on that, you know, and just go through every line and be sure it's where you want it to be.
Okay.
Be sure it's set up, that it sets up and under your chapter headings the way you want it. You don't have, you know, one line showing up on a page all by itself or something. Does that make sense?
It does, it's just discouraging.
Well, I did my first book that way too, so I understand.
Well, I have a novel that's over 100,000 words,
Uh-huh.
so.
Good luck. You've
you.
got your summer work cut out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, but always, yeah, you want to get your template first. Okay, there was something over here?
Yes, the template itself, can you download that into your word processing program?
Absolutely, and that's the
So
whole
like if
point.
you're using Pages or Microsoft Word or whatever,
Right.
the template will go right into there, so you still have all of the power of that software.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The template is what fits their book, the size of the book that you want. And it just gives you the margins. That's all that template's gonna do, unless it's a formatted template. If it's a formatted template, it holds you to certain pages because it's formatted exactly for that. But if it's just a template, all it's doing is giving you your margins.
Okay.
It's set them, right there. And if you haven't known what the page size was when you started typing, as I did and as this lady did, you get to, you get to fix it, But anyway, embedding saves your type. And part of the reason for this is that type, the fonts, the different fonts of type are copyrighted. The artists that drew those typefaces have them copyrighted. And some of them, if you don't embed them, you're not taking advantage of Word's copyright license. So,
How do you embed?
right, okay.
Okay, well, that's your next.
You go to File on your computer and go all the way to the bottom of what it's asked, at least it's all the way at the bottom on mine, the word Options. And under Options, you hit Save. And it'll bring up like a chart-like thing with a lot of different choices on it. On mine, anyway, the very last one says embed fonts. And that preserves the font that you've typed your material in.
And if you've used different fonts, it will still recognize.
It'll get them all, yeah. And frankly, once you do it once, you don't have to do it again, because it's in your computer and it just stays there forever. So you just do it once and you don't have to worry about it again.
But if you're gonna edit and change your font, then you've got a problem.
No, you don't.
No, oh, okay,
You can change your font anytime you want.
okay.
But it's embedded. You've taken advantage of Word's licensing.
Okay.
And you don't have to, and usually they are not embedded. I think, again, one of my first books, Create Space, called me and said, you do know you didn't embed your type, don't you? And I said, no, I don't even know what embed means, And so they explained it to me, that, and they said they had done it for me, but I should really do it for myself after that. So you need to keep that in mind, okay? What else was there on here that, I guess we pretty well covered that stuff. Oh, I was going to tell you about the interior, about the formatted has the page numbers in it that the plain template does not. You have to add your page numbers, and that can be tricky if you don't know how to put page numbers into a book. If you don't know the difference between a page break and a section break. Does everybody know the difference there? Okay. On your toolbar in your computer, you've got, I can tell you where they are in mine. I wrote them down.
Insert.
Mhm.
Insert.
Insert.
Yep, that's, where do you find the numbering button is on insert, but the page and section breaks on my computer, maybe not on yours, it's under page layout tab. And there you get to choose whether you want a page break or a section break. A page break you put at the end of a specific page. If you've got a picture that you want to come up on a particular page and you don't want the template or whatever cutting it in half, or the printer cutting it in half, you put a page break at the bottom of that picture, and that picture will stay right there on that page by itself. If you have a chart or something, a copy that you want to stay on that particular page, and you put a page break at the end. You can also put a page break at the end of your chapter if you want to be sure, and that's a good thing to do if you're going to do a Kindle or an ebook afterward. A section break is something that you would put after a particular section. In most books, you don't generally put page numbers on your title pages, but you do from then on, and then you're changing from Roman numerals to Arabic, so you need to put a section break at the end of your front piece, your front part. And when you put a section break there, then you can start numbering your next section with Arabic numbers, and it'll just, you just get a couple in and it'll do the rest of it for you. And that's one of the beauties of doing your own template, is that it'll just number the whole thing right straight through for you. However many pages you keep on typing, it keeps on numbering the pages for you. But you do need to understand the difference between a page break and a section break, because you can spend a lot of time trying to put numbers in, and they're not gonna do what you want them to do if you're trying to put numbers into a section and you've used page breaks all the way through it. The numbering won't be affected by page breaks. It will be affected by a section break. Am I making that clear? Is that coming? No?
People who know how to use word processors.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
There are 4 options for section break. Do they make a difference? There's one for next page, one for continuous, one for odd pages, and one for even pages.
Well,
Just use the next page.
for a page break or a section break?
Section.
Section break. Is that for section break or for numbering?
That's for section break. Numbering is a separate category completely.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I hit the section break and it does it. The numbering, and different things you want to say, usually you want to say that you want the front page different than the rest of it. And that would be true if you just have if you're just doing something where you have a title on the first page, and the rest of it body copy. That would be for headings and things of that sort. I don't know.
Do you have to put the number in the footer?
Pardon?
In the footer? Do you put the number, do you have to enter it in the header or footer? Or
It
just-
can be either one, which your preference, I think. I always put it at the bottom, but I think that's a choice. And that when you go to the numbering button, that's on insert. That's the tab on your toolbar, and it's with the header and footer usually. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you, with regard to your template and your document, number them. Be sure you get in the habit of that right away. You've got your save as, and you put the title of your book in there, and then put number 1. And as you change them, once you've sent your PDF off, You got your document sitting there with a number on it, and you've gotta make multiple copies of that template for different things. So, you're gonna wind up having to make 3 copies of that PDF, because an ebook takes a different, form than CreateSpace does for the soft cover book. So if you, say you send your PDF into CreateSpace, and when you see the proof of it, you see all kinds of things that you want to change on it. So you reject it, and you decide to make these changes. Immediately change the number on your document, so that you know that you're working with the latest. If you don't number them, you don't change them, you get to where you got 5 different copies there, and you don't know which one's the latest one. It gets real hairy. And I'm telling you this because I've made all these mistakes. Yeah, these are, okay. The other thing that they tell you is that, images have to be 300 DPI, and they don't. When you run them through for proofing, when you run your book through for proofing, they'll tell you if it's less and they don't approve of it. If you say that's okay, I like it like this, and you approve of it anyway, they'll print it that way. And it'll be a little fuzzy maybe, but they'll still print it. So I found that I've bought really good photos from SyncStock or someplace, and ask for it at 300 DPI, but it doesn't go through at 300 even, so. And they all come out okay. I can't see that they're all that bad. Okay, we've talked about the interior. So if we go to the next page, that's pictures. And you're giving a choice of, and you see this is the cover, now you're into the cover. They want to know what kind of a cover you want, whether you want a glossy cover or a matte cover. So you pick one. And then you've got a choice. Do you want to make your own cover, as it was done with this book here, the blue book that you have in front of you? Or do you want to build your cover online? Cover Creator is their tool for doing that. So far, I've put out 7 books. Every one of them looks different. Every one is fine, I think. They have over 3,000 images available free. Most of those images are not workable. I did use one for a little family book that I did there on recipes, but you really need to go someplace else for your photos or images that you might want to use. But they've got 30 different cover styles. Every one of them has 6 typefaces that you can choose from. They've got 80 colors for the cover and 80 colors for the font of type. And they give you complete directions for doing the cover on your own if you want to, but from what I've heard, it's a hairy business, and I don't know how to do that. I haven't gotten the nerve up to try that yet, so, but I think when you go in and look at the Cover Creator, you'll find that, especially if it's your first book, that you can get a good cover out of it. You know, you can look at most of the covers back there, I think, have been done with Cover Creator. They have, haven't they, most of them?
I did my own.
Did you really? We should get you up here to tell us how to do it.
I did it in Adobe Illustrator, and it really wasn't that bad. Pixabay.com is a good place to get quality photos for free.
did mine and took pictures of it, sent it to my son, he did the rest, that was easy.
Yvonne,
Hmm?
I have Al draw mine, and he has to calculate the spine, and we cut pieces of paper and put them together, and go over to the printer and have them print them off, and then I just upload them.
That was gonna be my question at the end, is how do you figure out the spines? One of my friends just published on Create Space, and he had quite a job of
Yeah,
trying to figure out the, and then to get the lettering to work.
yeah. I think, I think if, once you've done it, everything's easy, But, learning all the little ins and outs can be really hairy. And I've been troubled enough with the interior, I don't want a lot of trouble with the cover. Right now, anyway. But I'm glad to hear that neither one of you found it that difficult.
As far as the spine goes, they have actually, a way that you can calculate it if you're using like, the white paper and, you go by so many pages that your book is gonna be, and then you multiply it by a fraction, and it'll tell you how big your spine needs to be.
I think it was the letter, spacing on the letters, you couldn't quite get all the
They
title
give
on
you
it.
the formula.
Okay, so you've picked and you've used Cover Creator or yourself to create your cover. The next page is what happens after you send it to them for proofing. And they send you this form here that tells you what needs to still be done. And obviously on this one, everything needs to be done because it's not a real book. But you send it to them, and they take a couple days, and then they notify you that it's ready for you to look at. And once you've looked at it and gone through it, and there's there's 3 different ways you can do it. You can use their what do you call it? You can see it, their proof on your computer, just exactly as it is, page by page next to each other. You can see it that way. I forget what they've called that. Or you can download it on each double page through your printer, or you can have them send you a proof copy. And I found it really wise just to look through what they have available to you just facing me on the computer, and see if there's anything I need to change on it there. If you order a proof, there's a charge for that. If you order a proof copy, there's a charge for that. And you don't want any more charges than you have to have. So if you look at it there first, and if you don't find anything wrong with it, looking at it on their I forget what that's called. Do you remember what that's called?
Preview,
Hmm?
it's just a preview,
Yeah, but it's
where you
on.
flip through the pages.
Interior reviewer.
Okay, thank you. To their interior reviewer. But actually, it's the cover and everything shows up with that. If you don't see anything wrong, then by all means, order a proof copy. It's a couple bucks and plus postage, yeah.
Yeah, I've only published 2, and mostly my son did a lot of this, so I'm
Mhm.
learning to do it myself. But I found a proof copy helped me a lot, probably because I'm older and used to highlighting things in paper rather than in the computer. But
I would definitely
One of
order a
mine
proof
came
copy
back the
before
second-
you have it printed. But,
that's right, because the second one I did, the proof copy came back and the fonted size had changed. So small you could barely read it. That was a good thing I knew that, because then I knew what I had to change on it.
you didn't see that on the interior?
I must have missed it, which can happen. But, I thought I had it all set the right.
You
size,
maybe
but I
didn't have your type embedded.
Oh, I
then.
know I didn't, but the thing is, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have found it without seeing it first.
Mhm.
So it's kind of good, at least for somebody like me, to really look at it in print.
Yeah. Okay, let's turn the page. This is a copy of, where they kind of teach you how to do previews. On the left-hand side here, it tells you how to do them, you know, what the different possibilities. And on the right side, I have, I copied one of the reviews that was on CreateSpace, so that you could see what other people were doing. And, like I say, it's a good thing to work on something like this ahead of time, so that you have time to get the feedback from the community, and make adjustments, see what other people, strangers, would say about it. Now you're ready to start working on distribution. You've sent for your book, it's on its way, and now you're going to start filling in all of these items so that they can put it up for sale. The BISAC code, well, you're going to put the name of your book and your name, the author's name, and then the description, one sentence or two description of what it's about, and then you pick a BISAC code, and that is simply what the book's about. And you've given a number of different choices, pull-down choices to decide which areas this book could fit in, and you usually get 3 or 4 choices. Okay, sales and marketing, you need a biography of yourself, another thing you can be working on, putting together. You want it in English, probably, country publications, US, search keywords. Another little area where you have to make decisions about what was my book about? What was my book anyway? Does it contain adult content, yes or no? Large print, do you want large print or small, or regular print? And again, a lot of helpful tips and ideas are on that page. On the next page, you have a choice of where you would like to have the book sold. And you can select all 6 of these items. Bookstores, online retailers, CreateSpace Direct, Amazon Europe, CreateSpace eStore. If you're not going to go into Kindle, then you wouldn't check that one, you wouldn't select that one. If you select that one, then you're on your way into Kindle. And if you haven't gotten a ISBN number from them, then you're not eligible for the library one. On the next page is where you figure out how much your book is going to cost. And given the size of your book and the number of pages in it, they tell you the minimum that you can charge, the very minimum. But they also give you an option as to what you want to charge for it. And it tells you off to the side what your royalty will be in these different categories for the price that you're asking, what your list price will be. If you charge $10 for this book Amazon will pay you $3.59, create space eStore, you'll get $5.59, and so on down the line. Okay, the next section is the Kindle. I wonder if this would be a good time for us to take a break.
That'd be fine.
Okay, let's do that.
We'll come to eat, come to drink. We have lots of things over here.
Somebody that knows how to turn this off.
I probably should leave it for somebody else. Well, it costs money to print this stuff out. How are you, Heather? Good? Okay.
We've had 81 people.
You never know when you're talking to
Late. Yeah, we've had 81 people, 82 people in and out of our workshop today.
Really? That is wonderful. Don't you just
Yes, I'm glad this is here. I'm glad about the whole thing. It's wonderful for him. It's wonderful for him, and it gives him an out, and he loves it, and it's just wonderful. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm very thankful. Good, that's important. I'm glad of that too. Yes, glad to hear that. Thank you. Because that's, I mean, that's.
Still not clear, and it's gotta make it work. You know, before submitting it, your calendar, you actually check, what I have. Make sure what I'm gonna do is put that on our separate things, put that in one document. You're suggesting it's best to format that document, then you have same formatting.
Oh, good, well, thank you, I appreciate that very much, he loves it, I'm just glad that it's here, that it's available, that he found it, all of the above, I'm just.
We have to look at it monthly, or you have it there. See what they're on. He's a real foreigner. And then download his document, and it's just to look at it before you download.
I remember writing, to college and stuff, and then giving my husband, and I'm like, edit it, and he goes, I don't do that, you got too many words there, and and it's, again, there, it's like I talk too much, and I, yeah. Very good. I'm glad to know, I'm glad you enjoyed it, I'm glad it's here. Well, can't answer any better than that. Very nice.
That word is,
Glad you all
that
found your niche, right? That's important. Very important. Thank you for
sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm having. Anyway, they have, I think I'll go down to the children. So, and I don't usually do that, but someone asked us to go, so we went.
Who asked you to go?
If I were up there, it was Jim Borders.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
No, Joe was right there.
Oh, they weren't?
No, but it was about the article too. So it's just there to try, and really, right. So I would be thinking, but I will say, the situation between those two people, other than seeing the way it's used on the internet, it really doesn't have any. They're not like we are. Yeah, yeah. So, whether they just know the rules, whether they didn't know the rules or didn't know the rules, it's still their problem. That's right.
But I like the way you use
So I
it.
sit there and I think,
I like the way you use it.
and I was asking, come up against the Jim, or he wanted support, that's fine. I didn't even think of you, and yet I should, because you always.
Yeah.
Yes, they're right behind it. Well, they may have something, I don't know, I know my son doesn't put vitamins or nothing, and I didn't. But some do, and some don't, and I can't have the vitamins, because I'm allergic to them. And every been to their house, red on your corn. Well, just about every, unless it's pure. I don't know, but I can't, it's amazing how, he was out of water, he always got it, and, well, that gets warm for a few minutes. And, I said, well, I don't know who we're going to San Francisco. And so we went in there to just get him, a couple packages. And, I started thinking, does he add vitamins in it? And I thought, no, I can't have that. So, I don't know how many. Well, 3 years ago, I had a breakdown. David was my sister. I broke out with her. Well, not just that, but that's the hard part, is because cards are never shown. So if you cheat, or even if you don't know, like citric acid, one.
That's why you look the way you do when I was in
But I thought it was, well, I thought it was apples, not apples, oranges. I was thinking it was citric. And I continued to, and I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's only some.
Okay, well, we have. It was through.
You know what, we haven't had anybody else volunteer, and we want to, okay.
And they was, oh my God, it was 9%. And I went, and then when I was going around, I could go to
Gives you probably somewhere between 10 and 10, 15.
She says, oh my goodness.
Where did that result?
You don't have the medicine, you have to make sure that they are nice. You can't have the medicine. And I take all the.
You're John's father? Were you in Marion for a while? Just below the education.
But it's the thing, some people aren't.
There you go. That proves it. I grew up with Frank, and his mother was my English teacher.
But anyway, I wrote. First year, it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Oh, I'm not, it's not a. I'm trying to figure out how far it went.
And I'm not there. So I have semester this year. I graduated in spring of '65. My brother's book, Robin and Dick Fordyce. Fordyce.
Man, I'm about to freeze to death.
And how long were you there? My goodness. Nothing like Now, was one year private still there, when I'm looking at all the years he was. Yeah. Yeah, I was in forensics program. We went all over the state competing.
Everyone that's not out so far is probably good. I did buy a book for a few days ago. Was getting through on Mondays because I was. Meet me at 5 every time I got home around 9:30. Supposed to spend the night in the especially get a book until we had 4 o'clock.
On the inside. Yeah, that's good
So a young lady called me at 10 o'clock last night, but if you're sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not a problem. I mean,
On the side, this guy
that's
was
all right. Sometimes it's not a problem, right? But not for you, but sometimes for somebody. I didn't I'm on the field for it.
There's a girl that took a special Olympic trophy. She happened to Andy the other day, and her and I were up camp for a little bit. And we her fiance was like, "You're leaving my fiance alone." Yeah, she couldn't throw. She's like 19, he's 25. Yeah. Yeah, we practice something in the Special Olympics. It's for the summer. And after fall, I was in high school, so we did the thing with the moms.
Yep.
That's what we had to do. Then they-
That's where you said, the other one comes around and passes the baton,
Yeah.
and you pass it.
Yeah.
From behind you,
Yeah.
You had practice this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, that's why I got my funny gym clothes out on my once in a while. These shoes I was in Special Olympics. I got new ones at home like this for a while, and I got the third pair of sneakers I just wore those. So those were rock to go.
So you've been in the already. What time did you meet with them?
We started around 10 o'clock, we got to do something. I got done at noon, buses already gonna pick me up.
Woodburn the portraits.
Oh, yeah, yes, 'cause, yeah, so we get showered, clothes on, and then it's like there. I'll tell you guys more about that.
Hello, Sherry. How are you? Are you settled? Are you?
It'll take me a minute.
Really?
It's not like they're all standing for the whole
Where are you?
I think it's. Oh, I got family. So it's real good advertisement. I'm sure some of them really were gonna want to. Well, I got one cousin.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Are we ready to start again?
Pretty close.
I don't know anything about
Yeah, you're doing good up here.
Yeah, you told me they gave them trouble, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
And yet they say we're supposed to control their That's why I'm first in the field.
Maybe his mother doesn't want him to go, you know, like on those trips, field trips or something.
I don't know. He was happy about it. What more stories in it, John?
He's back there now.
Really slow, you can get it, you know, smoking on it.
I just did 3 veneers. You don't forget to take it.
What did her granddaughter, her cousin,
Oh.
it was a round table top.
Oh, all right, I'm here in the middle.
Just away from you so we can take you home.
You mean the mayor?
No, you're home. You check on your mail for your electric bill or?
Oh, that, yeah, why don't you do that?
You got the books on you, you haven't bought them yet.
I haven't bought them yet.
Well, I used to worry about
Somebody in the group said that they wanted this, and I'm done with it, so I'm gonna give it to them.
What, that food there?
No, this.
Oh.
when you used to go like that, they get five or something in there, I can hear myself think. So I just kind of guess at what people were saying. Well, I joined the new writers club in Rockville. They only meet every 2 months. Well, every once in a while. I guess they went through a membership course. And so they just started meeting fewer times because they had to pay for all they said the basement of this coffee shop. But I joined and we had 2 more people join me last time.
Is there more
But
than?
you know what it is? It's like a lot of time if it can get anything from everybody. There's a number of people that do the work. The rest that will just sit around and complain. You know, all those things. So. There is a Rockford, but Rockford, Illinois is like 75 miles west. Chicago's big. Right, it's its own. I don't know, what's the population? Warrior City. Well, I'm not, does anybody know? Well, Rockford, Illinois has, oh, I'd say roughly 560,000. Including the towns of Big Creek, I guess you'd call it. So it's not, doesn't look like it's a city.
My family.
You have to pass it on. The first person runs with the baton and goes around. Then when the other one's back here, they hold it behind them, and the other person comes through and grabs it that way. They're kind of being the runners. And then the next person passes.
And I had my own kids, and I was like, really? And down the street to go to big jam.
I remember my mom left over from
Shall we get back to this?
To me, Coleman's a small town.
You've got 1 minute. I'm gonna start talking.
Like your outfit. Thank you. Oh, shoot. I'm a turquoise lover.
Anyway.
Okay, let's turn to page 18 and we'll hold the ebooks for last. Just a few more things about working with your soft cover book. Page 18, there's some questions. When will my title appear in the sales channels I've selected? On Amazon.com, it shows up in 2 to 3 days for the title, 5 to 6 days for reviews and the body of the book. CreateSpace eStore, it will appear in about 3 to 5 days. And the expanded distribution channel, it starts in about 5 to 6 weeks. The digital proof. You've approved your proof, but you can still use the digital proofing features at any time. That's what we were talking about earlier. You can view your fully formatted book in an online virtual environment through the digital proofer. You can download a custom-generated PDF proof that displays your interior pages side by side on a single sheet of paper, and you can you can open and view that on your computer, or you can print it to your local computer. And if they're good to go, then you order your proof book if you want it. If it's the first time you've done a book, it's really wise to get that proof book just to see it. If you decide to make any change at all to your book, you need to complete the review process again. Size, interior type, and so on are associated with your book's ISBN, and we've talked about that before. And you'd have to trash the whole thing and start over if you want to change it at that point. If you're going to change the title of your book, change it before then. Now, sales channels and so on. We've talked about the expanded distribution channels and your list price. Your sales information and promoting your book. Promoting your book, they give quite a bit of help with that. The community that they have is very helpful too, and now they've got some resources right on Amazon where people will look at your book for a price, you know. So you want to explore that. Your royalties, we should talk about this because there's 2 different ways to get paid for the books that you sell. They'll keep track of the books that you sell and pay you when your earnings reach a certain level, or anytime, any month that you have sales, they'll send you the money at the end of the month, whatever it was. Whether it's $3 or $50 or whatever, or $100, they can do it monthly. So be careful which option you choose. We talked with somebody a while back who had taken the first option, and they thought they had to wait until they had, I think it was $100 in sales before they got their check, and they'd been waiting for months. And so choose, you know, if you want your money when your books sell. And that's a good idea to get it, I think, when your books sell, because then you know if your book is going over well or not. You know, if it needs a heavier advertising, you know, you really need to keep track of that. So I think it's better to ask them for the money every month. Then you know what's going on. It can take a long time. The other thing that you should know is that CreateSpace, anybody with a bookseller certificate can buy copies of your book from CreateSpace. They get a 35% discount. Normally people go to the Ingram Company or Baker and Taylor, and they're given they give a 40% discount to those companies, but CreateSpace will sell to some somebody, if they're not a huge, big company and, don't have a lot of books, but they do sell books, they can buy them directly from CreateSpace. Libraries are given a 20% discount. Let's talk about ebooks for a few minutes. There's very little on here about ebooks. I've told you before, when you write your book, you do it in their template, it's a document. To upload it into CreateSpace, you have to save it as a PDF and then upload the PDF. That means you've still got the document, okay? You have to use an ebook document copy because that's going to be different than what you're using for a soft cover. So preparing your book, the document copy for ebooks, you're going to make some different changes. Set your document up as a new document. You can't use their template for that. You're going to set margins of 1 inch on all sides. Copy your original documented document, not the PDF file, but your original document, and do the following steps. Remove all blank pages. Remove headers and footers, including page numbers. Remove your ISBN numbers. Remove any reference to publishing anywhere but Kindle. At the end of each introductory page, that would be dedication, preface, foreword, acknowledgments, whatever. And at the end of each chapter, at the end of the last word, am I talking too fast? At the end of the last word in the chapter or single page, whatever, go to insert and click on page break. Now, what you need to know is that there are no hard returns in any of your copy. So to check where your tabs and hard returns are, press the paragraph sign. That's the last symbol in the paragraph section on the toolbar. And every mark you've made typing that copy is going to show up. The spaces show up as dots between the words. Your tabs are visible where you want them. Be sure your tabs are visible where you want them. They show up as an arrow. Tabs show up as a little arrow. Hard returns show up as a paragraph sign at the end of the line. And you got to get rid of those.
So you have no hard returns at all in the whole thing? Okay.
No. What you want is for your copy to flow line by line. So you remove at the end of your paragraph would be okay. It would be okay to have a hard return at the end of the paragraphs, but not at the end of any line. you want your paragraph to flow as a paragraph. If there's a hard return at the end of a line, then it'll break it. Okay. Don't center your material, don't center anything. Have everything go to the left. Don't hyphenate anything, I told you that before. Set your indent for 5 spaces and indent consistently. This thing makes a lot of noise. And if you do all those things, your book should go through eBooks without a problem. That won't give you an active table of contents. Do you want to know how to do that? That's a little bit involved too. You want to know how to do that? Okay. You've taken out your page numbers. Also take out your table of contents on your table of contents page, so that you have a blank page where you're going to have your table of contents. Go to your chapter and highlight the chapter and title. Then go to Styles on your dashboard. Click on heading 1 and it will light up. And you'll be startled to see that the copy you've selected at the chapter will change font and it will change size. Which is like, whoa. It'll turn into Arial. You should be able to change the size later, but not the font. You do that for each chapter in your book. Then go to the page you have reserved for the table of contents, and now it's a blank page. And you go up to References on your toolbar. Click Table of Contents. Should be the first item. It is on mine anyway. You get a drop-down list. Click on Custom TOC. And a new page will open. Click off the boxes referring to page numbers. Click OK on the TOC. And a list of your chapters will magically appear on your blank sheet. And your table of contents is now active. And when somebody's reading your ebook, they can just go to the very first page and hit whatever chapter they left off at, and it'll go right to that chapter.
So you have linked.
Pardon?
You have done the links.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question though. Is it chapter by chapter? You said highlight the chapter and the title. Do you do that all the way to the
Every
book?
chapter, you do that to every chapter. Yep. You have to go through each chapter, go to the
That's not, is that what you?
first page of each chapter and highlight it.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
First page of each chapter.
Where you have your chapter 1 and title, and chapter 2 and title. Each, you just thumb through and get to that chapter for each one. Because you want them all to show up on the content page.
You highlight it and save it in any way, then go on to the next chapter?
You highlight it and then you check, you go to styles, click on heading 1, and your chapter number and title will show up.
So you
Will
do
light
that
up.
for every chapter?
Every chapter.
Okay.
But do you go to styles after every chapter? Okay.
Yep, that's where heading 1 is, that will light up. And that, you know, puts it into the computer somewhere where it knows what it's doing. Okay? All right, any questions on this?
No, that's awesome.
Pardon?
I said, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of the
It was
hardest
like-
things. Books that I've been in, their authors have been rejected because the links were not set up in the type, not,
Yeah.
you know, accurately
And it's
set up.
really very simple, you know, you can do it in 10 minutes. It's just scary, you know?
Hmm.
And you wanna be sure all the hyphens are gone and the hard returns are gone, so that your paragraphs will be the paragraph you want it to be. And be sure you indent, keep your indentation the same each time.
So poems can never be centered.
No,
Never.
everything goes to the left.
On print, yes, but not on KDP. Can they can be.
They're centered
the
in,
print-
on the
print.
document that you're going to use for a soft cover and turn into a PDR, or PDF for a book. Yeah, they can be centered there.
But not for Kindle.
That's right, that's why you have to, you're gonna have 3 different copies of your book when you're done. You're gonna have to have, you're gonna have your original document, you're gonna have your PDF, and you're gonna have your ebook format, okay? Is that making sense?
And how do you keep your versions straight? You said number them, and I'll look in Dropbox and see what the date is or on the file when they were created, but it changes if you ever open it or touch it again. So how do you keep those versions separate? Because I'm going crazy with some of them. Do you put it physically in there and then you just do a save as if you want to start a new version?
Right, right.
For, you know,
Well, you've got your document, and that's where you're gonna make all your changes. Any changes you're gonna make to your document. Or you're gonna copy the whole thing for the e-file.
Right.
You're gonna copy it and and do what you need to do for that, and you're gonna label that somehow, you know, Walk in the Night ebook is what I do. I say it right in the little subject line, you know, whatever it was, ebook. And on the other one, it shows clearly it's a PDF. Now, if your PDF comes back, you sent it in and it doesn't clear, for some reason you find that there are things that you made mistakes in and you gotta change it, get rid of the PDF, because you gotta start all over. You know, you gotta go back to your document, your original document, make the changes in your original document, make another PDF, but number your document so that you know that this is the 2nd or the 5th, whatever, you know, document that you've made and sent, so that you don't get mixed up. Because if you don't number them, if you don't get rid of what was there, you know, if you just start another one each time, if you make the changes in your PDF and you don't make it in the document, or you make it in the document and don't make it in the PDF, all at once you're getting really confused and you don't know which you've got. So get rid of the PDF, make your changes in your document, and then make a new PDF. And I keep them numbered. Somebody else may have some other way of doing it, but I number them. In your ebook, you wouldn't do until you got your book exactly as you want it, because it's a bit of work too. But it's real, you know, it's not that hard to do. But it's gonna take you a little time to go through and be sure you haven't put any hard returns in, and so, but if you know you want to, if you do it ahead of time, then you know, if you just avoid hyphens, if you indent 5 spaces, if you do some of these things right to start with, then it's a piece of cake. And it's kind of fun to watch all your chapters just all at once they're on a blank page, you know, it's all lined up. Yeah, it's kind of fun. So I think that's all I have for you, unless there's something else. Okay.
So why do we want to do Create Space? It's free. It's free. And on every page, down at the bottom, you'll find help. And the second thing that is my favorite is if I really have a question and I can't figure it out, you can say, call me. You'll say contact, call me, and have your phone ready. Because by the time you count to 5, your phone's ringing. And they may not be on there immediately, but very quick they will be on to answer any questions that you have. The expanded distribution, otherwise, how by yourself would you get it all the different places it's going to be advertised that Create Space does? And on Amazon worldwide, everybody can see it. The order calculator to tell you ordering, your shipping, what your minimum price is, what your royalties are going to be. And like Yvonne said, 2 options. If you want to give them either a savings or checking book information, they will deposit that in as soon as you get a royalty. If you do not want to, then once your sales reach $100, they will physically mail you a check. That's the 2 options.
Sales or royalties?
Royalties, yeah. And also it tells you all the time you can check on how many has been sold per month. It will give you all your information on your dashboard to tell you what you have. Okay, and so, I mean, you have your layout templates, you have basically everything that you need to do. And then Yvonne had some great handouts. I have a handout that it has in there what to be aware of when formatting your book. Don't make these 5 newbie book layout mistakes. 9 book design tips that authors need to know. Understanding book elements, trim size, interior templates, step-by-step guide to formatting your book's interior and creating a PDF. And then I also have a handout that if you don't want to do your cover in Create Space and want to do it totally on your own, like what Pat did, then I have a handout that will tell you exactly how you can do that, and that would be using Adobe and Illustrator. And you buy those. Those aren't free. And so now, is there any questions for Will, who talked about the writers group, or Yvonne, who's gave her presentation? You have one, Sherry?
Yes, I have a question about using Create Space. When I moved, they can't do anything. They don't have the same, because I closed my bank accounts and changed and everything.
Okay.
They sent me an email telling me I have to, but they didn't tell me how to change it, and I don't know how. I tried to go on there and I looked through, I couldn't figure out what I had to do to give them a new.
Okay, Sherry, could you at least sign on and get to your, what I call your dashboard?
Yes.
Okay, then you go to the help, and say, call me, and they will call and they will actually walk you through the steps.
Oh, that's good, okay.
Yep. So you won't be left out.
Well, I didn't know if that worked for that too. Okay.
It does. I don't think there's a question that you can ask that they can't answer or guide you somewhere to do. Does anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, I want to make sure you each get a packet if you want it. I thank you for coming. I would like to say one thing. In the book that we published this year, Yvonne talked to you about fonts and formats. She talked about all those different things. So when we had different people that some emailed in, some sent by mail, some we went online, and we brought those in to put into this book, there was many formats that probably was embedded we couldn't make any changes at all to. So what Yvonne said is right. When you start using a font or a format, make sure that you continue on with that so that it's all in the same. So anyway, thank you for coming. Help yourself to some more beverage or snacks if you want to. Did you want to say something, Will?
Yep.
Oh my, this is really rare.
Appreciation. All of us.
Aww.
Where's yours?
Well deserved.
That's yours.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a real adventure. It's been fun. So anyway, please walk around, visit, look at books, do whatever and enjoy it, but make sure I give you a packet. Thank you.
Give her a card for Tuesday. I will tell you about that later.
Okay. You should, print your date on this. Stuff you get from here, you should have a folder. And you put everything in that folder, so in case you want to see it someday. You know what I mean? So it's not all over.
Just in case Ms. Creator wants to create. What? Okay. Should I ask for one for Jane? Oh, thank you. She will. I know she will. And you got words are, you got everything else.
Oh, I can.
Yes, good. She's missed. John, you probably don't want it, do you?
Don't want what?
You probably don't want to pack it on getting on, you want to get on and do Create Space?
Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, let's give me one.
All right,
You can
thanks.
put this in there with it.
Do you want one?
I, you know,